values as far as versus precinct 4 and precinct 2. And we still do not know today why that is. But I decided to do some research and working on, as I got the emails, as I got the phone calls, the text messages, I picked up the phone and started calling the CAD, the Fort Bend CAD. And what I'm finding is that, or what I found is that the Fort Bend CAD, since January 1st of 2020, the oversight of the Fort Bend CAD is by the Comptroller's Office. And everybody here knows who Glenn Hager is. He is a man of integrity, honest. I've always supported him, and I know he will continue, he will do the right things. But what I did find is that by SB 2 bill called for a oversight of all CADs in the state of Texas, and that they were putting together, from what I was on the phone with Senator Colcourse actually yesterday, and they were putting together a committee that oversees the actual the appraisal board, and to be, you know, making sure that everything is being done properly, operation-wise. And I decided that I would start getting out there and asking people, and you know, what was happening with their appraisals. And I was getting people like, who y'all may know, Susan Lang. She actually spoke at Commissioner's Court. She sent a spreadsheet to me, and she was the finance director for the city of Richmond, that property values increased 288% along that 36 corridor. There was people in the older part of Rosenberg that their homes were doubling in value. It didn't make any sense.
Questions regarding an identification.
So I told Commissioner Myers, I said, I've got to start getting out in front of this, because there's something we've got to do to help the taxpayer. So we reached out. My goal is that what if we rolled back the values to 2019, because at the time, there was no mention of them being able to, anybody being able to go in person, which, by the way, they only had 5 days to do that recently, to protest. And several of the people I talked to were seniors that don't do technology. And they said, we can't do this. And so I thought the right thing to do would be to roll back the values to 2019. Well, further research showed we ended up getting a ruling from Paxton's office, from the Attorney General, that the tax law states that values can be adjusted if there's physical property damage, but not due to an economic downturn. And I felt that was unfair. So the next thing is that we started pursuing whether the governor could do this under the declaration of disaster. And then to find out that the next step is to have a special session. Well, I was told that with everything that was going on, that there would not be a special session. So what I started doing was educating the taxpayer on the protest system, on what we needed to do to try to protest all of our values, including my own. My value year before last in 19 went up 30,000. This year it went up another 40,000. But that really wasn't nothing compared to what I was hearing with others, that there was commercial property on the 90, Highway 90, Avenue H, over 40-year-old shopping center from 200,000 to $1 million. I will tell you, and I don't think Tim Kaminsky would be offended by this, but he showed me his value for his daycare center. Went from 1.1 million to 1.6 million. Why? No changes, none. And so my goal is to try to educate, and I decided to put out a petition, an online petition that you would sign so that I could go and get the legislators' attention. We got 11,000 plus signed online petitions. That is over 1% of the county population that's upset. It's a broken system. And so what we did is that Paula Gibson, Senator Kokor's district director, reached out to me, and I said, Paula, the senator needs to be aware of this. We were getting the attention of the legislators. And I had over an hour phone conversation with the senator, not just about appraisals, but the majority of that conversation was, out of 21 counties that she represents, Fort Bend was the one that she was getting the most complaints from. She said, maybe one from Washington County, one from Victoria County, one from Morton County, but the majority were coming from Fort Bend. What is going on? I said, Senator, that's what I have been trying to express and tell people for the last several weeks. There's something wrong. And I will tell you that yesterday, Commissioner Myers and myself had her on the phone with her staff, them taking notes, and they are going to be conversing with the comptroller's office. This is something that we have got to get to the bottom of. Why these continued increases in Fort Bend compared to other counties, even though, yes, there's some increases, but nothing as excessive as ours. One of the emails I got, I won't say his name, but know him very well. His home almost doubled. I sent it to the county judge saying, we need to put pressure on our legislators. In all due respect, I did not get a response. I finally got a response that from the chief of staff that had sent it to our chief appraiser, that actually responded directly, not only to him, but directly to me. And in his email, it stated that we had a robust economy when these values were established, and that they will adjust themselves out next year. Well, my response was, we don't have a robust economy. We're kicking people in the teeth right now that are down. And we need to make adjustments. We did it during Harvey. Why wouldn't we do it now? And then, of course, the tax law was cited to me. And I will tell you that I said to him, people cannot wait till 21 for a readjustment. Something needs to be done now. And something needs to be done to help people out protest these values. And I called for a in-person protest then. Well, I was getting over 75, I was reaching over 75,000 people in a 2-week period. As I stated, we got over 11,000 online petitions. We were getting, I forgot how many now, over 6,000 and something people viewing. People are upset. And I finally got the attention of the county judge. And I asked that we put on the court, which he did, that we do a resolution to go to the governor, to the comptroller's office, and to the Fort Bend Central Appraisal District. Well, the court did pass that unanimous. And it was sent to those entities. And that again got the attention of our representatives. And I want to tell you, Representative Stevenson is totally in agreement. The system is broken, needs to be fixed. Senator Kolkhorst, as you may or may not know, and she's doing a great job, is the chair of the HHS committee for the state, which, as you can probably imagine, she is overwhelmed right now, and told me, you know, she's worked harder than she ever has with this COVID-19 pandemic situation. And but she did get involved. She has been involved. We've got the attention of the legislators. Commissioner Myers put together, as you may all have hopefully had the ability to either see it live or to see the recording, is he did a webinar with Senator Bettencourt. And we also invited Senator Kolkhorst, which she could not be on there by video, but she was on there by phone on the road to Austin. Both of them stated, and if you would listen to it, it's on my Facebook page, you could hear the frustration in her voice. And Bettencourt was saying that right now, he was, you know, the law is the law. But now, when they go into session in January, the pressure is going to be on to hopefully, I would hope that maybe we could extend these appraisal, because it's not due till January 31st, that maybe we can extend them, the payments, hopefully, for a term for these people that are really hurting, that are, you know, unemployed. What scares me about all this, and as I told the appraiser, you're going to have a lot of foreclosures, whether that be residential or commercial, if we don't do something to give relief. So right now, all I can continue to do is, and I've had people reach out to me by email that they feel that I'm trying to help, and I have answered every email, and I've gotten multiple emails, and I have forwarded emails of concern, of frustration to the chief appraiser, to his credit, he has responded personally. But why does it take a commissioner? Why does it take me to have to forward these to get the attention that these people were asking? And I'm going to tell you right now, it all goes to customer service. And I've stated that to him. The customer service level needs to be improved. The people there need to be more educated on customer service. I know Jordan Wise is new. He came on last year. I believe he is really trying to change the culture. At least, like I said, he responded. And these are numerous ones. He responded to every one of them. And he even took some of them, their emails, as their protests. But they were being told and being ignored when they were trying to do it on their own. We've got to fix this. I told Senator Colcourse yesterday, and I'm sorry if there's anybody listening from the CAD, improve your customer service. Because I'm telling you right now, and that's what I said, Senator, the problem is it's not just the excessive values, it's the customer service side of it as well. So there was a lot of notes taken. I believe, again, we have the attention of the legislators. This is going to be something that I am going to be pushing for as a legislative item. And I'm going to tell you that everybody says, I got some emails. Well, lower your tax rate. Let me tell you something. My research shows since 1996, the county has lowered its tax rate 20 times, equivalent to 30% reduction. But you got to remember, I need help. The ISDs, all the special purpose districts, that's one of the issues. Senator Colcourse has identified that some of these special purpose districts, I'm not going to call out any particular one, they have multiple years of reserves. Her instructions to one of her staff members yesterday, we need a bill that they cannot have these kind of reserves. They've got to, they can't be sitting on that money. That money could be used to help reduce the tax rate. Those are the kind of things that we're going to need to be working on to try to get legislation done that the across the board can reduce the tax rate. But I'm telling you, with some of these excessive appraisal values, we're not going to be able to lower the tax rate low enough without giving up services that you all and myself as a taxpayer expect to get. We are one of the only counties that has a EMS, a library system, and a drainage district the way it's set up. And that we have, people say we have the highest tax rate. My research shows that's not true. Not with the services that the county offers. You look at other counties that don't have those services, and the tax rates are higher. So anyway, one of the things I worked on being quarantined, even though we were one staff member a day was coming into the office, I was coming into the office periodically because I was told that I needed to stay remote. But one of the things that I worked on during that, hearing the cries, is the, trying to help in every way I could to guide people and to help people with our appraisal district. I feel like that a lot of the emails I've gotten thanking me, and phone calls, you know, we made some headway, but not enough as far as I'm concerned. We still have a long way to go. We have a system that needs to be looked at. I think that Mr. Wise needs to, again, really look at his staff. And, you know, the other thing is that people need to know, because there's a lot of emails I got about the appraisal review board, that appraisal review board is picked and appointed by the chief appraiser. The appraisal board is appointed. What the little token is that the county entities, such as the county, the cities, the special purpose districts, the ISDs, get to pick members of the board. But I will tell you that this year, the court was divided on 3 members, and we did not have any say. We get about, I don't remember, it's a little over 800 votes. The ISDs carry the biggest stick, and they are the ones that really appoint 3 out of the 5 members of that board. And the county ended up really not getting a board member, but normally, I will say this, that we get, in the past, the county's always been able to get at least 1 member on that board. That's another conversation. I will tell you that I worked 2 years ago to get a board member on there that I thought would be very good. Worked with the ISDs. He basically, when it was time to renew his membership to the board, his appointment, he said, "I'm done. It's frustrating." He goes, "It's broken." And I knew then that we had a problem. So I will tell you that we've got to all continue to work together. Anybody asks, when they point, because it says Fort Bend CAD, it's not Fort Bend. It's not the county. It is, the oversight is by the comptroller's office. And again, I respect Glenn Hager to the hilt, but his office is going to have to help us. And I need people to also, and I will tell you, someone that you and I both know, and I don't know that he would want me to put his name out there. All of you know him. But he sent me an email saying, I guess you know this, but here's who really is the oversight. And I sent him an email back, yes, you're correct. And but at the end of the day, as I said, I've been able to advocate, to be able to be the mediator for a lot of taxpayers when they would reach out to me through the Central Appraisal District, but there's many, many more that did not reach out to me, and I could not, forward those emails and get the attention, that are probably sitting there frustrated, upset, and I can, I can understand. But anyway, I know that we will not get a special session. We will not get any relief based on the way the tax code's written today, which needs to be changed. As I've told our legislators, that it was never written for a pandemic. And we have got to address this in the future. We've got to address a lot of legislation in the future for pandemic, because this could happen again. It may not happen for another 100 years, but it could happen again. And we were caught basically in a situation that we could do nothing about it. And so we just all need to work together. And again, I'm still the advocate here. Commissioner Myers, when I told him my frustration, he said, run with it. I've been dealing with this for years. And he was very supportive. And like I said, after we got the momentum going, the court got supportive of it. But at the end of the day, it's going to take us working with our legislators. And I know they're listening, and they are willing to make some changes. But the only problem is that those changes aren't going to happen in the time frame that I'd like to see, because people right now are definitely hurting. And I'm very concerned about what took place on Tuesday, that we needed to put more money into businesses. We got to get people back to work. We got to create a safe environment for employees and for customers, for patrons, that will feel safe in coming to these businesses. And that's going to increase revenue stream, which in turn is going to put people back to work. And so we'll see how things go as far as going forward. I'm hoping that as I was told after my frustration of Tuesday of not getting some dialogue going, that if it is a moving target, and that if there's money available, that we would definitely look at those areas of interest or need. But anyway, right now that's really, between dealing with the pandemic, COVID-19, dealing with helping with the appraisal values, and just trying to get this county back open in a safe manner, is what's really I've been really involved with, and really all of Commissioners Court has been involved with over the last few weeks. And so I'm going to go ahead and just shut up, because I know you all have other things to do, and I'm going to do Q&A if you would like. So
I'm going to start with a question that you said about the moving target. Can you maybe go into, I don't know how much detail you can go into, but maybe a little bit more detail of some of what happened on Tuesday and what's going on with the CARES Act and small businesses?
Well, right now, actually, the auditor has been instructed and is putting together a online portal that people will be able to use for the business relief, if you want to call it that, for rental assistance. My understanding, talking to the auditor yesterday, we're pushing him to have hopefully something to us next week for approval, a protocol that people will follow. I've already had people reaching out to me, especially on the business side. How do I apply for loans, or how do I apply for the grants? And I've told them that, as per the auditor yesterday, within 2 weeks or less, which means 2 court meetings or less, we will have a system in place, online portal, that we hope that people will be able to go to and to apply for the various grants that were distributed. There was 134 plus million that was allocated, that Commissioners Court had to work with on dividing up. The members of court were somewhat divided on where a lot of that should be. But when I say a moving target, my conversation with one member of court afterwards, when it was a 3-2 vote, I didn't vote against distributing that money. I voted against the way it was going to be distributed. And the same as Commissioner Myers. And so at the end of the day, I was told that, look, if there's areas that monies are not used, because everyone has to remember there's guidelines, very strict guidelines from the feds that hold the county accountable and responsible for every dollar. Any entity that we give that money to, whether a city, a business, a mud district, whatever, we're responsible for that dollar given to them. And that doesn't go back on that entity. It comes back on the county. So there's going to be guidelines that each one of these, before a check is issued, it has to meet. And that is going to be done through the auditor's office of the county with assistance from other resources that specialize in this, that will be helping distribute that money. So if there is any areas that don't meet the qualifications, I guess you would say, and there's money left, then we could move that money into areas such as business relief. I firmly believe that I know there's some people that really need some rental assistance, and I'm all about that. But at the end of the day, we have got to get the businesses up and running. The businesses they're going to be the ones putting people back to work that can pay their rent. And I think that's what needs to be addressed. So anyway, I hope that answered your question, Eric.
Yeah, it does. And we had a long question from Susan Barnes in the chat. Susan, I think I unmuted you. And if I didn't, if you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask that question.
Hello, Susan.
Okay, well, I'll read. She might have pulled out. I appreciate Commissioner Morales' comments very much, but my question is, how is it even possible for my tax value to be $30,000 more than appraisal I just had done in February, before we even take into account the added stress of COVID-19 and all of its implications? My home has been appraised for taxes at more than $30,000 more than the actual value of the home. How can this be right or legal? I did file an online protest and supplied the appraisal. It was denied, and I am scheduled for a meeting on June 1st. She doesn't have a microphone, so she can't speak. So let you take that.
Well, that is, Susan, your case is one of several I've heard. And in fact, I can just tell you that across the board has been pretty much what people are dealing with, as far as those are excessive values. There's nothing to really back it up. It goes back to the customer service. I feel like that the appraisal district should have, how did they determine that 30,000 more? And they're not giving that information. They're not required to give that information. And that's one of the things that upsets me, is that we need more transparency. And that's to me, there's a lack of transparency and a lack of fair protesting, as far as being able to protest your appraisal value. Susan, I agree. Again, personally, mine last year went up 30,000. I've done nothing. Nothing. Nothing's changed. And it goes up another 40,000 this year. So these are the kind of things, as I said from the beginning, it's a broken system and we got to figure it out. And all I can do is continue to work with our legislators and hopefully get their ear to be our voice in changing this and addressing this in the next session. I will tell you that this SB2 actually gave the comptroller a lot of tools that would be able to regulate our CAD. And I'm really hoping that going forward that office will use those tools to help us with your situation. But Susan, thank you for the question. And believe me, I sympathize with you. All we can do is continue to put pressure on the system.
Commissioner, is it the comptroller's office that would have to put the pressure on them in a ruling to be transparent in how they come out with these? Because I do remember when I lived in Houston doing a protest in Harris County, they provided their properties and said, this is how we come up with it. And then I went to them and said, here's the properties I got. And they said, that makes sense.
I will tell you, Eric, I got an email from a gentleman that used to live in Houston. He moved to Sweetgrass 2 years ago. And he said the same thing. At least in Houston, in Harris County, they were transparent. Now, he did say they weren't always that way. But he said in his last years there, before he moved to Fort Bend County, they were transparent. There's no transparency. That's got to change. And yes, the comptroller's office, again, by SB2, as of January 1, 2020, has the tools in their tool chest to make that happen. Not the county. The county can't make them do that. But that's why SB2 was put in place. Now, again, we've got to work with these legislators to use those tools to move forward.
If anybody else has any questions, you can either raise your hand or, again, just press the space bar and start talking. Okay, if I don't see any more questions, if you have any other comments you want to make, Commissioner, to wrap it up, and then we'll just
Yes.
close out the meeting.
Thank you, Eric. And I want to thank you all again for having me today. Listen, if you know someone or yourselves have a question, please feel free to email me, contact me in some form. I will do everything I can. If I can be the mediator, as I've been, if I can help assist, I will. But again, there's some things that all I can do is be your advocate and try to get a response. But my goal now is taking it from this local level and I believe I've achieved that over the last several weeks, is that we're taking it to a new level, which is the state level, to address this. We've gotten the attention of the legislators. So again, I just want to say that it has been a real honor to be able to serve the last 3 years as your county commissioner. I am up again this November, and I hope to be able to continue to serve you and the people in Precinct 1 in Fort Bend County and move forward on addressing some of these needed issues as we go forward. So again, I want to thank all of you for allowing me to be part of the meeting today.
Well, want to thank you so much. And since there's no other questions, I've unmuted our district governor, Gary Gillen. Gary, thanks for joining us. If you have any last comments you want to make, and then I'm going to ask you to lead us in a four-way test since you're here.
Oh gosh, I better get my wallet card out and see what that four-way test says. Thank you, Eric, and I'm sorry I was late. Vincent, you may not be aware of it, but one of the things the district governor does in Rotary is has a district conference, which was supposed to happen in February, and then it got moved to July. Then it got changed, and we have now reimagined it. So I was on the hotel, on a Zoom meeting with the hotel and the Convention Bureau in Bryan College Station working on the new details. So folks, if you were looking forward to going to Bryan College Station for district conference, do not despair. It will be different, but it will happen. Vincent, thank you for all you're doing as one of your supporters, one of your voters, one of your taxpayers. I appreciate all that you're doing. I am so old that I was on the city council in Rosenberg when Tom DeLay, then state representative Tom DeLay, came to us to tell us about the Peebito bill was going to create the central appraisal districts. And for those young folks on here, in the old days, you had an appraised value from the school district, an appraised value from the county, an appraised value from the city, and they might all be very different. And Tom's attitude was this would create a single source for values. I understood that, and my concern is you're creating a level of government that I can't touch because all the board members of the CAD are upon us, and I don't think so I hope that you, Vincent, are able to lead the charge and do something to make this better. Rotarians, of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third,
will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And fourth,
will it be beneficial to all concerned? And fifth, will it be fun?
Thank you.
Guys, I want to thank y'all for joining us today. Commissioner, again, thank you so much for everything. I promise I'm going to have a meeting for us on the first Tuesday.
Eric, you're muted.
Eric, you're muted.
You know, when the keyboard just decides to stop working on me. Okay, so yeah, we'll have a meeting on June 2nd. I'm not sure who our speaker will be yet, but I will let y'all know. And I want to thank y'all all for coming today. Y'all be safe. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you again very soon.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank y'all.
Bye.